keep that human piece in there by learning the terminology of the thing you want to do. Keep it in there so that you can speak to it. I think that you want to speak to it not only to the AI so that it gives you the right answers, but speak to it as though you could have a conversation with a colleague so that they too could understand what it is. And if you can have those kinds of conversations, you can really start accelerating the types of things that you create in these really cool tools that we have.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are and wherever you're watching from. My name is Matt Pierce, host of the Visual Lounge. We are at ATD International, and we are having a live podcasting session. So we're going to be talking with a guest today, and we're going to be talking about using images and video in the workplace, but how he's using it in instructional content. And we're also probably dive into that world of AI, because guess what, everybody? It is here, it is working, and it is not working, and it's the one place that we need to be continually thinking about, because you know what? As I heard someone say, that there's lots of things happening, but no one knows really what anyone's doing with it. So we want to welcome our guest. We want to welcome Destery Hildenbrand. Destery, welcome to the Visual Lounge.
Thank you so much for finally having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Oh, finally having you. Yes.
Yeah.
No, so grateful that you're here. So Destery, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your work and what you do.
Sure. So my name's Destery Hildenbrand. I have been in our industry now for about 20 years. And I have focused mainly on the technology side, right? So I've always been building the e-learnings. I've been creating the websites. I've been editing the videos. And more recently, in the past 10 years or so, I've done the immersive technology stuff. So virtual reality, augmented reality. So I love the technology. And then my main passion and goal is to figure out where the technology intersects with that learning piece. So I'm a traditionally trained instructional designer, right? That's what I went to school for. So being able to meld those all together, that's what I've been doing now for longer than I care to admit most days.
Well, you did tell us at least 20 years.
I know, not the exact number, because then I just feel old.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you probably have seen a lot of shifts in kind of the technology. You know, I think we often see in our industry things come and go. Mm-hmm. What would you say kind of current state of affairs, image, video, where are we at in usage right now across the industry?
Yeah, it's actually a really cool time to be doing any kind of multimedia work, right? Because AI, as I know, you put that on the end, but we'll kick off with it. AI has really kind of opened some doors, although there are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, right? But it's opened a lot of doors for everybody to be able to create an infographic that is, really decent and looks really good. It's given us an opportunity to create some images, or even just take existing images and alter them in a way that it no longer always looks weird, right? So even with video, I've seen such a huge improvement in just the quality of video, even in those bite-sized chunks. So I think it's a really cool time to be here, because there's so much opportunity and potential, and we're still working towards it. We're not quite there yet, but I think that in small doses, it works out really, really well. And when you have a workflow that you're using, Camtasia or Adobe or whatever it might be, right, for whatever type of medium you're working in, it really helps speed up your workflow. And as we all know, time is the resource we all need more of. So
from your experience, I mean, there's obviously lots going on, and I like that you added that we're not quite there yet, because I think that's a reality we're facing. There's a lot changing really quickly. But from your experience, do you feel like, are we racing towards more time, or are we racing towards doing more?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like right now we're sort of chasing more, is what it feels like to me. And just maybe that's just what I do on a regular basis. Those are the conversations I'm having. But I like to think that the goal is more time. And one of the big things, especially with AI, is that, all right, so it's going to start freeing us up to do some additional things, that time factor, right? So how do we best prepare ourselves and our learners so that they can still be functional when AI gives us that more time? What do we do with that more time if we're not sinking it into, I don't know, however many minutes per minute of video that we're putting together, right? So I think that's probably the biggest question that I have right now. It's helping me do all my stuff, but then how do I make sure that I'm doing it, my team's doing it, right? My organization is doing it. So how do we make sure we're preparing? Because we're super close to it just doing a lot of stuff really, really well when we do get there, that it's going to we're gonna all of a sudden be like, I don't know, it feels like we're wasting time or we're wasting our resource now. So we almost have to like preemptively get there a little bit. Otherwise, that's when things go not so great.
So I would imagine someone's going to listen to what you just said and say, "Oh no, we're at the end." You know, there's the doom and there's the doom and gloom, and
Yeah.
we hear a lot, like all the jobs that are going to be lost and all the
Yeah.
displacement, and all the things. So for you, I know it's going to change, right? But
Mhm.
current state, how are you choosing or doing? What are you doing to keep human in the process, in the loop of the things that you're creating when AI is doing some of the work and it is getting better? Like, I know, just context, you and I just looked at an infographic that I created using
Yeah.
AI. And had I not told you it was AI, you may not have been able to tell.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about that human connection.
Yeah. So I think the biggest piece here is that it's going to free the human to do more, like cooler things, right? Like I can't even count how many times I've started a project with a vision in my head that became so unrealistic so fast because I didn't have the time, the resources, or the talent to really do it. So now I can take all of those resources, and the part that always bogs me down personally is, how do I get started? Like, where do we build that foundation? Well, I can throw all of that into the AI sandbox, and like 60% of it then gets sort of like functionally laid out. And then I can really focus my efforts on that last, maybe 40% or 30%, so that I can really do the cool things that I'm envisioning in my head. So the way I would love to see this play out, right, is that, hey, we're going to get all the stuff, get all the hard part, like the part that takes the longest out of the way. And then let's really focus in on, how can I make this the most, the neatest, the most functional, the best learning experience that I can, or the best entertainment experience that I can, right? Depending on what it is that your goals are. So that's where I would love to see it go. And that's why I kind of go back to, we as in the collective leadership of organizations has to start planning for that now. Like, I talk to so many organizations that are like, we have a 3 to 5 year plan. And I'm like, that's too many years. It's like that's way too many years to have a plan
There's too many
for.
minutes, days, and seconds.
You
right?
need to have a 6-month plan at most, right? You really have to start making these functional changes, because then that's where we start to lose people, because we're like, we don't know what to do with you. And you now feel like overhead, right? Now you feel like something I have to cut, because there's nothing for you to do that I can think of in this moment. So I think we need to prep for that a little bit more. And then our development teams are going to have that much more flexibility and opportunity to really improve the product, in a perfect world, improve the product that we're delivering, versus, just letting AI take over everything. That's not the answer either.
Well, a couple things I want to kind of come back to. One of the things you said, you're like, oh, you want it to help you finish it. I think I want it, or you want it to start. I want it to help me finish. Like, it's like, oh, I started this and now it's just sitting there. It's like, okay, help me finish it. The other thing you just said, I think is really interesting. And the keynote that we heard this morning, he's a restaurateur, right, talking about hospitality, but this idea, and I'm probably have just lost it, but you talked about the product.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm curious though, like we all make lots of products.
Mhm.
I want to talk about outcomes and what you think. So like a product would be, you delivered a training,
Yep.
but like, do you think AI is going to allow us to get better outcomes? And let me give you an example to make that really clear. Let's say you're in a restaurant, or you got a family, you made a meal, right?
Mhm.
The product is the meal, whatever that is, pizza or spaghetti or whatever you like, right?
Mhm.
But the outcome is other things. It's nutrition,
Yep.
it's love, it's, all the things that come with that kind of that space, right? Depending on what your intent was. So do you think AI, are we moving towards just more product, or do you think it's going to allow us to actually get to better, more kind of robust outcomes?
Yeah. I think I would love to see that as the thing, right? I think that's
Whether we're doing that or not, it's like
exactly. But I think that is a really good point, because what if it takes that 60-70% of the stuff that like we're just bogged down by in whatever project we're doing, what if we could take that extra time and then put it towards that unreasonable hospitality feature, right? We can, instead of thinking, I just have to get it done. Oh no, I'm going to not meet my deadline. Now you can be like, well, I know I'm going to meet my deadline. How can I improve the product? How can I improve the learning or the experience for whoever's on the other end of it? And I think that might even give us the opportunity to have like those pre-dinner meetings, right? Only have them with our pre-project meetings where, hey, how do we improve upon this? What items can we find that we could do more with? What are the touch points that we could get more out of it? And that could be, more retention. It could be better metrics in the end of whatever it is that they're measuring in the hopes that they're measuring, right?
Yes.
All of those types of things.
So is it okay if we switch gears a little
Absolutely,
bit?
yeah.
So you and Jeff Batt have recently started a YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And I want to talk about that because I think it's interesting in this kind of world of things that we just talked about from an AI perspective. You're actually doing something, it sounds like you are teaching AI, but
Mhm.
you're the creation of a video is more kind of human manual, right?
It is, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that process of what is your process for creating a video?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing, I'm kind of old school, right? So I start off with, you come up with an idea, you're up with everything, right? There's a problem to be solved. So does the video make the most sense? Draw out an old school storyboard, right? And then you put some stuff up on the wall, maybe some sticky notes with some suggestions, right? If you have the time to do it. That was always my favorite part, right? Where you could put it all together. And then you start to figure out where you need to get the content that you want, right? Is it a situational thing where we're filming a scenario? All right, well, do I need B-roll? Do I need, what are the components that I have to capture? What is the second unit going to cover while we're over there doing the important stuff, right? Or if it's just like, okay, who do I have to get a hold of that has the program that we need to capture from? So, it's a lot of times it's not me. I'm not the expert on all the things. So I have to go find somebody. And then it's like, okay, well, now I have to figure out whether or not you have Camtasia. Can you record it for me in the way that I need it to be recorded, right? So I think that that's sort of the process that I go through. But you start off with that problem you're solving, and you try to be as creative as you can within the confines of what tools you have available. So I think that that's kind of the process that I use for that. And I think it's a very similar process for me when it comes to doing anything with AI. It's you come up with an idea. I've got a problem that I'm trying to solve, whether it's small, whether it's big, whatever it might be. And, how do I map out what that looks like? I don't have to draw the storyboard anymore. It makes a storyboard for me. And then I tell it what I like and what I don't like. And then from there, we can move on to, all right, well, this is what I'm hoping to do. I need you to fully understand. Ask me as many questions as you need so that you know exactly what it is that I'm asking you to do. Don't do anything because I only got so many credits in Claude, man. You can't take all my credits by just guessing, right?
Yep.
So I need you to fully get what I'm doing. In fact, it's not unheard of for two of my monitors to have Claude here and ChatGPT over here because I don't got to burn any credits with you guys with ChatGPT, right? I can go over here. So tell me what I need to do better with Claude, and then I get it over to Claude, and Claude's like, "Hey, I got this," and I was like, awesome, right? That's great. So I don't have to burn any credits with you. So anyway, like that's kind of the overall process. And again, it's similar. Like I don't have to burn any internal credits knowing that when I'm doing the video stuff too, if I've got everything ahead of time, I've answered all the questions, right? So I don't think my process has really changed, just the speed at which I can do it. And it makes me better at it a little bit, right? It can be more creative. It can help me get my creativity out there more because sometimes I'm like, oh, this would be really great. And then it's like, you don't know how to do that. And you don't have a month to learn how to do that, right?
You don't? You don't have all the time in the world?
I tell you what.
I thought you were using AI and had more time.
There was a time when I wanted to make Star Wars fan films, right? Where I was so excited about it. And the main reason is because I wanted to do lightsaber fights, right? And this is not very long ago, in fact, but nonetheless, it was long enough ago that we didn't have tons of this type of technology. I was using Photoshop, pulling in frame by frame video reels and rotoscoping on that. And all of a sudden, like, my wife was like, where are you? And I was like, well, I'm just working on this a little bit. She's like, it's been 4 days. What are you doing? Right? I would just disappear into this tiny little computer that had no business doing what it was doing including myself at the time. Right. So now being able to just auto select something and have it rotoscope it or, those types of processes, I can have that vision, and AI helps me get there more so than me having to learn all those skills from the beginning.
So I would guess that there's audience who are listening there, and some of them are going to be way on the heavy AI usage understanding. There's going to be some who are like, "Ooh, Rage Against the Machine" here a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about these two processes that you're bringing together. And it's really fascinating to me that what you're looking at is someone who's made a lot of videos in your career, your experience, and you've understood kind of where those pinch points are, right? Where it's like, oh, it's gonna take me a long time to write the script because I just wanna talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Or it's, "Oh, I need a storyboard," and I know how to storyboard, but gosh, that just takes me a long
Yeah.
time, right? And so, what advice would you give to the folks who are like, "Okay, I'm trying to figure this out." They don't have maybe the depth of
Mhm.
experience you have, and obviously, it's one thing to say like, "Yeah, just go use AI," but that's like
Yeah.
everything, like, "Go make a video."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh gosh, what advice would you give to someone who's like, "Okay, I'm gonna figure this out, how I wanna get my workflow to be
Yeah.
better?"
Yeah. I would say that's a great question. I would say that you almost kind of want to take a step back from AI or even capturing a video, right? And actually just really think about the process. And if you fully understand the process, like the actual shoot, the post kind of stuff, right? Just understanding at a high level what typically goes on there. And then how do I adapt that into like a learning development flow? I read a lot of books, watched a lot of movies,
That's my favorite one, like, "Hey, that's my favorite assignment to give, go watch movies."
exactly. My favorite is the clips that they have, like the layouts and the golden ratio and like the rule of thirds, right? All of these things that I kind of grasped onto really helped me do that. So I think even just going back and looking at some of the terminology that people use, and that's very similar to like working in AI too, right? You can be like, oh, I'm trying to build a website and I need it to do that thing where it circles around the stuff, right? And I need to be like, I don't know what this is called, but I need the thing to do the thing. And then it goes, oh yeah, that's a such and such, right? And then you're like, oh, I have a new term that I now know what the thing is. And I think the same thing goes with kind of capturing video and doing it. Another thing I recommend is that we've all got cameras and video. We're video ready all the time.
Yep.
If you think about it, just start capturing stuff. Just record things, record small stuff, record obscure things, just record, I don't know, yourself doing stuff. So yeah, I think that the whole process itself, like I think just understanding it a little bit more. And if you don't want to get too far in the weeds, you don't necessarily have to anymore, right? I think it helps though, if your passion is to do better videos, go back and see how other people did better videos, right? Or just watch a whole bunch of videos, like learning videos that are out there.
Well, I think the key for me, what I heard, I think is a big takeaway that I hope the audience hearing this will key in on is that the idea of you still, even if you're using these tools,
Yeah.
you still that vocabulary and the fundamental understanding of what makes something good is really key. And I think that goes back to that earlier question about kind of keeping the human in
Yeah.
space, right? Because while I know AI can create a lot of amazing things, I still have to be able to judge whether or not that's an amazing thing that is accurate, right? And
Yeah.
we're not getting away from that anytime soon. But whether that's your instructional model, whether a video is good or not, like I can look at a video and say, "Oh, that looks really great," and it might not actually be what it needs to be, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. The word you used was it creates, right? And I think I've used that term before. But what's important to understand is that it generates.
It
AI
generates.
generates. It knows everything, but it understands nothing. It is nothing more than a prediction engine. That's
Mhm.
all it is. It looks and it says, "Hey, this is what it looks like everybody else did. So you ask some similar questions. I'm going to do that." Right. So it technically, you're still the creator, and that's that human part, right? You're the creator. So you have to, AI is just another canvas that we use to actually paint or sculpt or whatever it is that we're doing. We have to be in control of it. It's no more a creator than a paintbrush is, right? It's a tool that we use to get what we need out there. So yeah, so not that I was trying to call you out. I was just
No,
all of a
that's
sudden it
great.
just hit me, and I was like, "No, that's a really good distinction, actually." So
Yeah, it's I mean, but that's the challenge I think we're faced with a lot of things is making sure we're using the right
yeah,
vocabulary to make sure we're describing the right process, the right things, and even going back to again with video, right? Like understanding those things, it's it still becomes critical, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, it can generate a lot of things, but we having that verbiage, not only does it help us make better things, it also helps us have that conversation,
Yeah.
or as we're prompting to get to the generation that we're getting the things that we expect, right?
Yep.
Oh, I want parallax scrollings. Okay, well, what is parallax scrolling? I don't know that I can define it, except for I know it when I see it, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, Destery, this has been super fun. I'm going to ask you, we're going to move into our speed round questions. So I'd play a little music and some cars would race and it would be speed round questions. These are fun, fast questions meant to be answered in a fun, fast way.
Awesome.
So, number one, if you could choose any image to depict yourself, what would you choose? I never said these were easy. I said fast.
Wow, you did say fast. I don't know how you make it fast. So any image to depict myself, huh? It would have to be something blurry and like it's moving quick, right? That's the first thing I think of because I'm always like moving fast. No, the first thing I actually thought of was something that involved the lightsaber once again. So I'm pretty singularly focused on certain things when it comes to the things that I think about from being a kid and stuff.
Yeah. No. I love that. Okay. Number two, if you could have dinner with anyone, past, present, where you don't have to worry about restrictions on how that's going to work. Who would you want to have dinner with?
Gosh, at the risk of continuing to sound incredibly nerdy, I would love to have dinner with like maybe George Lucas or Dave Filoni or John Favreau. Like, I think that would be really cool. To really kind of just like get into their brains a little bit and see like how do you come up with this kind of creative stuff. Even other like directors, I think would be really neat too. I don't know if there's any like philosophers or anything but that would be like, James Cameron, that kind of thing. So I think those would be the types of people that I would love to like pick their brain and be like, how are you so creative? And they're like, I don't know. It's something I have. And it's like, oh, I wish I had it too.
Okay. Well, we're going to go down this one more question.
Okay.
We might as well stay on the nerdy track. So, guilty song or movie, kind of guilty pleasure. Like what's your go-to?
Oh gosh, my go-to movie is Empire Strikes Back every single time. Like I think it was like
on brand.
On brand, yeah, 100%. Like always in the background, always there. I think guilty song. Have you ever heard Fet's Vet by MC Chris? Yeah, cruising my Cespa in my DeLorean. You got to check it out. It's really good stuff.
I will do that as soon as we're done. Okay. Well, Destery, thank you first of all for joining me and having this conversation. If people want to connect with you or learn from you, where should they turn?
Awesome. So the easiest way to connect to me on social media is through LinkedIn. So I'm one of the few Desteries that are out there. But also you can follow myself and Jeff Batt at Vibe Dojo. You can find us at vibedojo.ninja. And then you can also find our YouTube channel. Just search Vibe Dojo, and we're one of the first 3 that pop up. I think we might be the first 3 entirely that pop up. So yeah.
I didn't know there was that many Vibe Dojos.
I don't know. There's a lot of vibe weird stuff out there right now with the coding thing. So yeah. But no, we typically come up in the top 10. So yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Destery, this is the hard one. Destery, what is your final take?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I would love everybody to really think about is to keep that human piece in there by learning the terminology of the thing you want to do. Keep it in there so that you can speak to it, right? I think that you want to speak to it not only to the AI so that it gives you the right answers, but speak to it as though you could have a conversation with a colleague, so that they too could understand what it is. And if you can have those kinds of conversations, you can really start accelerating the types of things that you create in these really cool tools that we have.
Fantastic. Well, Destery, thank you for joining me in the Visual Lounge.
Thank you so much for having me, Matt.
You bet. Hey, everybody. You heard Destery. It was fantastic having him on the show. We're always grateful for our guests that pop in, and he was a replacement, so I'm so grateful that he was willing to jump in last minute and take all these crazy questions. But we hope you like what you're hearing about the things that we're talking about using images and videos, about using AI and bringing that world together, because look, there are so many opportunities to train, to teach, to instruct, to help, to market, do whatever it is you're doing using images and video, that learning to be better at them is a skill that will aid you, even if you're not the ultimate generator of it, right? Even if you're just helping someone else create it, or you're helping the AI to generate that thing, it's going to make your life a little bit easier to have that understanding, as we heard from Destery. So with that said, we hope if you like the podcast, you go out and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube. We're on all the podcasting hosts. You can always email us at thevisuallounge@techsmith.com, as well as, our goal is here to help you to get better at the things that you do. So we hope you take a little time to level up every single day. Thanks, everybody.